The Criterion Collection in the UK is not dead. It appears that we have some new signs of life, so that's what I'm going to talk about in this video. Hello everyone, it's Elliot here, and we have some good news. Let me just explain a bit about what's been going on the past few months with the Criterion Collection in the UK. Since roughly April of this year, people have been worried that Criterion might be stopping their operations in the UK because we didn't get any new signs of new films up for pre-order. We also saw films increasing in price, and we saw other films in the collection going out of print in the UK, and you couldn't get them anywhere online. Now, before I get into the good news, I want to just clarify something about Criterion's operations in the UK that I feel like a lot of people are confused about. So the main thing is that Criterion do not operate directly in the UK. When you buy a Criterion Blu-ray in this country, you are buying a disc that is being distributed by Sony, not through Criterion themselves. Basically, what would happen, Sony would acquire the licenses to release a film in this country, and they have a deal with Criterion to take their discs and their assets and the packaging and everything and just reprint them over here and sell them. They have been doing this for the last 7 years since these Criterion titles appeared in the UK, and for the most part the releases themselves are fine because they are just straight ports of the discs in the US, but they have been doing a terrible job at communicating with customers and fans about these releases. Anyone who collects Criterion discs in the UK will know that we do not get any sort of formal announcement about new films and new releases like people get in America. That's because it's Sony that should be announcing these, but they just don't do anything. In fact, we have to find out through these pages on social media, which are fan accounts, they're unofficial, and these UK Criterion accounts go on websites like Amazon and Zavvi and just scour those pages for new pre-orders, and that's how we find out about what's coming out. You might be hearing this and thinking, oh well, that's no big deal, who even cares? But the thing is, it doesn't really garner a good relationship between Criterion and their customers in this country. The least we could expect, like we do from other labels, is to hear about announcements on a set date each month and for the communication to come directly from whoever is releasing these Blu-rays and not us having to see what's up for pre-order on Amazon. So that's the background on what has been happening with Criterion in this country. But what is the news that is going to change things? Well, someone emailed Criterion directly asking them about this and about their UK operations and what is happening. We've had no new releases scheduled for a few months now. And they got the reply saying that they are changing distributors in this country. So Sony will no longer be distributing discs here, and it's going to be someone else. And they've said it's going to take a few months for them to get all of this in place, so we likely won't see any new Criterion discs in the UK until autumn time later this year. Now, this gives me new hope for a few different reasons, though I am cautiously optimistic about this news. For one thing, we might finally get some regular communication from the company directly about what is being released here. That wouldn't take much effort on their part, and that's something that I would love to see and many people would love to see. Another potential positive that might happen, although maybe this is being very optimistic, is another distributor might be able to charge lower prices for these discs to the customer, because the prices have been all over the place. In the US, they have pretty uniform prices across the entire Criterion range, whereas over here, many of the discs are different prices. If it's in a digipack packaging, it's more expensive than a standard plastic case. And during sales, the sale prices are all sorts of different prices based on what sells well. So hopefully we see a bit more uniformity in terms of how they price the discs over here. But perhaps the big thing, which again, I'm optimistic about, I'm not gonna say that this is definitely going to happen, but it might actually change how they schedule the titles that are released here. It could potentially increase the number of titles we get each month. So instead of getting 2 or 3, we might see many more than that. But the one thing that I think a lot of people are really hoping for, which I am too, is that they will finally start releasing some of their 4K UHD discs over here, which is something that they haven't done yet. They have released the Blu-ray counterparts, like with Menace to Society and Power of the Dog and many others, but they haven't released any 4K UHD titles here yet. The reason they haven't been doing that, and this is probably the reason why that might not happen, is that you need additional licenses to release a film in 4K as well as releasing it on Blu-ray. And over here, those licenses might be too expensive, or it might just be too competitive. There might be other companies who are fighting for the same kind of licenses. You know, companies like Studio Canal or Eureka or Arrow or whoever might have these licenses already, and Criterion UK might not be able to get a hold of them. Do let me know what your thoughts are on this news. Do you even care? Maybe you're not even that into Criterion, but I think it is a big deal for a lot of collectors in this country. If you'd like some Criterion recommendations from me, then I have just the thing for you. Just click the video on screen right now and it'll take you to a video where I recommend tons of great Criterion movies. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you soon.